Okay, here we are on the very first all-grain brew day. And this is my setup. I have my kegel, which has been heating for a while now, with the thermometer and sight glass. From this first stage, we'll run out of that and we'll come into the mash tun, which has got a little bit of an innovation of my own in it, which I decided to put a net in it, like a hot bag, just a really big one. And you can see the outflow in the bottom, and you can see the sparge bar in the top. Once we get all of our grains in there, we'll let the water come out of the tank, come through that sparge bar, fill up what we need, mix our grains, and we're going to hold it in there for an hour. And once we hold it in there for an hour, it will become wort. From there, we'll open the valve and we'll let it drop into our temporary vessel here. And once we get to that point, then we will come back and open the valve again, and we'll rinse the sugars, which is called sparging, through, and we'll let it trickle through. And that's where you get your high percent of alcohol, your efficiency. Once all that's cleaned and done and drained out of that into the vessel, from there we'll pour it back up into the kegel and put it on boil for an hour. Now, while this is heating up, we've got our future fermenting bucket. Once we get to the point of adding to the fermenter, we'll be putting it in that jug to ferment. This is our sanitizing bucket with all of our pieces parts in there, sanitizing. The recipe, step by step, and a tracking method of how to, what time you did what. Went in at this time, at what temperature. Then on to our scale. From our scale, I'm going to be rehydrating our yeast packet and measuring out the ingredients. I only use some of these hops, so I will be putting it in the bowl before I put it into a hop bag. This is all of our grain. Just about all of this grain goes into the mash tun in the water, and that's what soaks for an hour, and that's where you get your sugars. This is my counterflow cooler, which we will be seeing a little bit later. But right now, I got to get measuring. It's time to go. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to reconstitute this. This is my sanitized working plate, which I lay all my utensils on. Keep everything nice and clean. And this was a sanitized mixing bowl. And I've just taken some warm water that I've been heating my mash tun up with, preheating it just a little bit. And just nothing hot. Doesn't have to be hot. Just, you know, room temperature, just warm. Maybe body temperature, a little less. Just perfect. Add all the yeast to it. Make sure you get it all. You can never have too much. You can sure have not enough. Now, as you can see, by stirring this, all this yeast starts to reconstitute. And it will just get softer and softer until it's totally liquid as it absorbs all this fluid. Okay. Now we're just going to let that set for a little bit. Let it keep soaking, and then we'll mix it a little bit more. While now we need to measure out our hops. And an electronic scale is phenomenal for this because of your tar. Okay, at this I'm 0, but I want pounds and ounces. So there's pounds and ounces, and I'm 0, 0. Now, according to this, when I get to this point, I need 1.17 ounce of Cascade hops. Now, before I actually go measure that, I'm going to get my 2 hop bags out of here, out of the sanitizer. Squeeze them real good. Get most of the water out of them. Set them on this sterile. I keep a lid or a plate that I've sanitized. And now my hop bags are ready to go. Now with this particular recipe, I'm going to be adding these as I start the sparge, which is a little different. Normally you add them to your boil. All right, 1.17 ounce of Cascade sanitized scissors. Really probably doesn't have to be that sanitized, but you know, it's just a good habit to get into. Now this was a